Welcome to Wellness Tea Time with Dr. Rita. My name is Dr. Rita Sonko, a public health physician. I am the host of this show, and I aim to help you engage with different guests to understand more about mental health. Remember, Toli Wekka, you're not alone. It's very important for us to break the stigma and break the silence about mental health. Welcome to Wellness Tea Time with Dr. Rita. Today we are with a dear friend of mine, Rhonah Ainembabazi. Welcome, Rhonah.
Thank you, Dr. Rita.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you and to hear more about the Mental Health Awareness Initiative, an initiative that you started a while back, and I'm excited for our listeners, our viewers, to learn more about this and kind of understand where you're coming from. Before we go there, could you just briefly introduce yourself
Well,
to our viewers?
thank you, Dr. Rita. Thank you for having me today. It is an honor for me to be here. My name is Rhonah Ainembabazi. I am a psychologist and a mental health advocate. Very, very passionate about mental health.
Yeah.
And I serve with TMHAI, that is the Mental Health Awareness Initiative. And we started back in 2022. Initially, we were Tukule Foundation. And we realized there was always a lot of explanation that we had to do.
Yeah.
And then when we happened to cross borders and get into Nairobi, every time we said Tukule, they'll start asking us, where's the food? And we had to start wondering if we had to carry food everywhere we went. That's how we decided to give it a name that was actually directly to, that communicated what we actually intend to achieve and what we do. So that's how we ended up with the Mental Health Awareness Initiative.
Yeah, it's a beautiful name, and I think no one can now ask questions. What are you guys about? What is it all about?
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much. And so my first question is really about the motivation. What got you to start TMHAI? You call it TMHAI?
TMHAI. Yeah.
TMHAI. Yeah. What was the motivation behind it?
I feel like that's like one of the questions like a lot of people usually ask.
Yeah.
And I think the passion mostly came from actually mostly between myself and my partner. My partner is a lived experience. And then there was like a lot of growing challenges when it came to mental health. And then I don't know if you saw that report in 2022 about the 14 million Ugandans being mentally ill.
Yeah.
And those are the people that were reached. Have like, I don't know if people have considered those that actually were never reached to, but then they actually are still struggling. And this was, the research was done in 2019. So that was before COVID. So what do you think happened between then and then COVID happening and then everything else that happened? So it feels like it was a need that needed to be addressed, despite the fact that there is still a lot of stigma that is surrounding it. So we feel like we have to do this. And then I think the reason we chose more of the going into the schools or the young people, there's also this whole idea that young people don't struggle as much. They don't have this many issues.
Is this misconception that somehow, you
like you're provided for, you have a roof over your head, I'm giving you the food, so what
exactly what would you be worried about?
Exactly. So and by then there was also like a growing number of young people killing themselves and all that. So like we actually do need to address this, because that's one thing my partner usually says. If you've not been in that space, you can actually not understand how much impact it has on a person. So I feel like it was like a combination of a whole lot of things.
Absolutely. And so it's really amazing that you've done all this and gotten out to 100 schools. Wow, that's really, really
it's actually
impressive.
over 100 schools.
Over 100 schools already.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So, and that's in such a short time. And so my next question is really understanding from your outreaches to these over 120 schools, what are you finding are the most pressing issues among the young people? And I know it's not just schools, also universities.
Yes.
What are you finding?
I think one of the biggest challenges, mostly for secondary school, university has also its own kind of issues, but mostly in secondary schools I have found family. like where we come from. So you find a child telling you, I don't know how to communicate with my dad, or I can't communicate with my mom. I think my mom is too difficult. There's a child who actually said, I think my mom doesn't love me. I don't even know if she is actually my actual mom, you know. So like you find a lot of these issues are they're originating from the home setting, and I think that was one of the reasons where, like, apart from going to schools, we actually need to find a way of then reaching even out to their parents, home, because you come and just talk to the child, teach them how to, you know, recognize some of these challenges, how to address them, etc. But then if they go home and they're still facing the same triggers, they're still getting into the same issues they were struggling with, it is very difficult. So we've tried to do two things. One, to talk to the kids to actually learn how to communicate with their parents on the same.
Very important.
To be like, but also to even try to understand, like, but why do you behave the way you behave? Like, why are you always shouting? Is there a problem? Because what we're telling them is sometimes your mother or your father can also be struggling with something.
So they're dealing, I mean, parents are dealing with a lot, right?
A lot. So like, maybe if you have a conversation with them, maybe if it's something they've not actually considered before, you giving them like food for thought to be like, maybe I actually have a problem. Maybe I should, you know, talk to someone or share with someone. Or maybe you can even open up the conversation and give them a chance to actually share with you, because you never know, they've also been looking for someone to share with,
someone,
you know,
to talk to. Really. And you know, sometimes parents don't realize that they have that immediate support, because the children are no longer that young, and they understand
very much so.
You know, so if you have a teenager, you can actually build a really positive relationship with this teenager, that you can explain to them that, you know, I'm actually going through this, or I'm struggling with this, so that they can also understand that they don't have to be so demanding. Oh, I want a new phone, I want this, and you haven't shared with them that you actually have a challenge with this or that. So they are also maybe having unrealistic expectations, because we are not truthful to our children, to tell them this is what is going on. So I think that's a very important point.
And they're actually very understanding. Like, I usually take an example of my own son. He's 6 now. But like right now, like before he asks for something, he'll ask you, Mommy, I want this. Do you have money for it now, or can I wait? Or like, you know, like he gives you that like, like, can you
gives
do
you
it
the
now,
option
or should
that is not like a do
but
or die
as long
right
as
now.
he has informed you, I want this.
So I think that is an excellent way of engaging children, so that they understand the reality of, you know, what you're dealing with. And I think that is definitely something that parents need to consider. Make
very
friends of your children and help them understand where you're at and what's going on, instead of pretending that everything is, you know, wonderful, I can manage this, I will do this for you, and then you're overstretching and obviously causing a lot more stress on yourself. So you were discussing a lot of other possibilities of issues that you're picking up.
I think that the second one is academic pressure, obviously. And like, I think also that challenge comes with also the fact that still teachers, parents are all focusing on your academic excellence. They don't actually even get to have that conversation with you, like what is hindering your studies? Are you facing something? Are you, you know, like to understand, because something, it could be something very small that a child is struggling with, and they just want to be listened to. So if they constantly feel like I'm being ignored, first of all, of course they have to study, they have to keep up with their grades and all that, but if they also feel like they do not have that support, you know, like some kids can actually just act out because of that. Like, hey, if you don't care about how I feel, like, why do I have to
care about how you feel?
So
and they know that how you feel is all about the marks.
So also be like, I'm not doing anything. And then the other thing, of course, that is recently affecting a lot of our youth is social media. The comparison that comes with it, the insecurities that comes with it.
It's this artificial world that they're seeing on social media, assuming that is the reality.
Exactly.
And then comparing themselves, the peer pressure, all of that.
Everything. And so what I always ask them is, okay, like for instance, if you went to a very beautiful place, would you want to take a picture, a video to be like, I was at this beautiful place. So if you're in a place where you feel like, this place is not that pleasant, it's not that good looking, would you take a picture or a video of it? Of course not. So even those same people that you're comparing yourself to are doing exactly that same thing. Or they're even setting up spaces just to show up, to show off a thing that is actually non-existent.
In reality, that's not their life.
It's a whole different thing. So we always have to keep that in mind. And then gender violence or sexual harassment or incest, actually, it's actually overwhelming and disturbing.
The whole sexual abuse
and
thing.
Worrying. Because if you find a girl, there was a girl that I spoke to, and she had been raped by her cousin when she was 5 years old.
Oh my God.
1, 2, 3, 5. And I'm like, how is this person actually going to heal from this? And most importantly, what actually bothered me more was the fact that she actually shared with the mom, and what the mom told her was, don't even let anyone hear you say that. Like, don't even repeat it. So how is that child supposed to confide in you another time anything happens? Because now you've normalized it. They'll be like, even if it happens, maybe this is what is supposed to happen. If she didn't care or even like try to, talk to this person or bring any
get
punishment
support
to them,
for the child, and of course justice.
And you're still seeing this person, by the way. Every holiday, this person is still coming to your home. What? And this,
so the vulnerability is continuing.
Precisely. Oh so like God, there is a lot. We can't cover everything, but I think to me those have been the most consistent, the ones that have been repeated
coming up
a lot.
All the time.
And of course a bit of drug abuse. We cannot go without mentioning on that. So this is something we all start drugs with a little bit of curiosity, and by the time you know it, you're hooked. So
you're hooked.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So with all of this vastness of issues that we are dealing with, as you've elaborated, and I know there's a lot more, what do you see as the major gaps that we have in our response as mental health providers, as the public? What are some of the big gaps that we really need to pay attention to?
I think awareness is still like a major thing, mostly with teachers, our parents, the leadership in schools, so in the spaces that we are in. Like they need more education when it comes to mental health. And after getting the education, then we get to giving them spaces where to find the services that they would actually use, like what we were talking about earlier. Okay, now I know that I have a problem, where can I actually get the help that I need? And then of course stigma has still not gone away.
That's massive.
That is like a topic that we're going to keep having. But I believe the more we have these conversations, the more we speak about these things, eventually we'll get somewhere. There is no ceasing fire. So we just have to keep pushing.
And I think it's all about normalizing the conversation. So people understand that mental health is really a part of us, just like physical health. Our minds also, will get from time to time a challenge that needs to be sorted, either by yourself or by additional help.
The same way you get a pain and go see maybe a GP or something, is the same way you actually. And then the other thing, I feel like people usually think of going for therapy when they feel like, I'm now too depressed, I don't have any other solution, I need to go see a therapist. But the same way you can be out, once in a while, be like, let me go and do a general checkup and see how am I doing, how am I. It's the same way you should actually go and see a counselor.
Exactly.
And speak to someone. Because, we have a tendency as human beings to live in denial or put things in small boxes and keep them somewhere in the mind. And we even convince ourselves that they're no longer there. They don't exist anymore. So we usually need to, be realistic.
But I think that comes down to also being able to access screening services, for example. If you know that, there's something I can use to check, the way you would, if you're feeling too hot, check with a thermometer, that we need that, and we need to make it available to people. And really, those are some of the things that with yourselves and Toli Wekka, we're trying to get out to the people.
And normalizing these conversations. But it's actually what we were talking about yesterday with my partner also, was like when they started doing the awareness on HIV and AIDS, it was this huge thing when it first came on board. And then it has been normalized to an extent where now, like, it was actually disheartening. Recently, I was at a conference. We had a university summit, and I had young girls saying, "I'm more scared of being pregnant than I am of having HIV."
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, that's a very unrealistic.
That's scary.
Because okay, pregnancy, if you're not ready, there is a solution. Not necessarily that I would advise you to do it, but and besides, it's 9 months. You can have that child and get them a caretaker. It could be your mom, it could be your family member. But once you have HIV or AIDS, this is something you have to treat the rest of your life. So it's a very unrealistic thing to even actually contemplate in your mind. So that's why I was saying that the more we normalize the conversations, like we take away that fear, that stigma that it carries with it, and you create a space of like, this actually happens and I can get the help that I need. So normalizing the conversations is very important.
Very important. So I think that what's really amazing as well is the idea that we must make these conversations happen on a regular basis. And, that's what our podcast is about as well, kind of create spaces and opportunities for people to hear these messages on a regular, so that they understand that these things are actually normal. They are happening. So you don't need to.
I'm not alone.
You're not alone. Exactly. And
Toli Wekka.
That's our Toli Wekka mantra. So you're not alone message is really important.
And we also actually do like Twitter spaces every Saturday. We call them mindful Saturdays. And we really usually tend to pick topics to address in regards to the same. So like I said, let's keep normalizing these conversations. Like,
absolutely.
There's no ceasing fire.
Absolutely. So obviously, we've been talking TMHAI and Toli Wekka on the collaborations and that. And I wanted to just, kind of share with our public what we are doing and how we are going to be working. I'm so excited to work with you in schools.
I really am.
Can you talk a little bit about where you see us plugging in exactly, so that we can get our schools out there ready for us as well?
I'm actually really, really very excited about this partnership because there is a lot of gaps that we can really fit in together or collaborate. And I think to me the most important one is the assessment app. The screening, you can give the kids a chance to actually, because like every time you talk about mental health and leave, you always like someone stays with that thought in there. Wow, where am I for me? Like what's happening?
Where am I? What is my situation?
Am I okay? Do I need help? So I feel like if they have that chance of actually assessing themselves and being like, okay, you're either in green or you're in yellow or in your orange or red, you know where you're falling and you know, okay, at least now I can get more help. At least, and now I know where to go if I was struggling. And that is where still Toli Wekka comes in. And then also the beautiful other thing that I loved was the social emotional learning. The puzzle walls. I cannot wait to actually have one of those. I feel like it's the best thing that we can do, and mostly for us who do like create the clubs in the schools. I feel there's a lot that the kids can learn, and holistically, not necessarily only on mental health or emotional growth, but then entrepreneurship and all that. So like, I love the way you've like holistically brought everything together for a holistic growth of a person, of a young person, not actually only a young person, even an adult. Like when you're explaining, like even me, I was like, oh, we need this. Like it's really amazing for team building, for general growth, really, because a lot of us struggle emotionally. Like we need to figure out where do we fall. Otherwise, you might be in the middle of the game and you start seeing people fighting and all that. So I'm excited.
So basically, those social emotional skills that are so vital for improving mental well-being. That's something that we have picked up on as something that we need to ingrain in children, within even at a family level. I used when we grew up, in my family with my siblings, our parents really loved board games. So it was one thing we always did. We played Monopoly, we played Scrabble, and our parents were our friends. When they would be coming home, we'll be so excited. Dad, what are we going to play today? Well, should we do Scrabble? Should we do Monopoly? So this
it's game, also very good for the brain. Like exactly, your brain very engaged.
Exactly, and that's what Puzzle World does, because it kind of creates that real life kind of scenario. and get people to be in the mode of really learning and then self-discovery as well. As you play, you then discover, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was this competitive, and I didn't realize I could become so angry because we lost the game, you know.
And that they also always say, like, two heads are better than one. We might have been doing something in one direction, and you come on board and you realize there's actually a lot more that we can do. So I am very excited about us working together.
No, thank you so much. So in closing, what message would you like to give young people out there to, you know, they are struggling, you know, young people are struggling, as you know. What is your message to them? Message that can help them as they get into, especially beginning of the year, starting the new academic year?
Well, I think the most important thing is this. You're not alone. You're not alone. There's help out there.
Absolutely.
And yes, there is struggles, there is hindrances, there is challenges that you're going to face in life, but there is help, and you're not alone. Toli Wekka. So, like, these struggles do not define you. So, if you are struggling, kindly ask for help, because asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness, like we're always meant to believe. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. So, if you are struggling, remember that you're not alone, and help is there. There is help out there. Like, confirmation again, Toli Wekka. So reach out and get the help that you need.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rhonah. I really appreciate this time together, and we can't wait to do so much more.
I'm looking forward
we
to
have
it.
Massive goals this year, and we are going to be out in every school. So schools, please,
schools, universities, families. If you actually even have kids at home and you feel like they need someone to talk to, you don't know how to deal with it, reach out. Do not hesitate, because we're all struggling in one or the other. So reach out.
And how will they reach out to you? Just for you to elaborate.
We have our social media pages. We have emails, and like we said, well, we're working with Toli Wekka right now, so you can always reach out for any kind of services. If you need a therapist, if you need a psychologist, if you need just someone to talk to, sometimes you just need to share with someone. If you need a friend to lean on, Toli Wekka, so reach out. Reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We'll obviously be sharing your details as well on our social media.
So all our social media handles are like TMHAI. So on Twitter it's TMHAI, on LinkedIn TMHAI, on Instagram TMHAI. So the Mental Health Awareness Initiative, you can just reach out.
And I'm pretty sure every time they reach out to Toli Wekka, they'll find TMHAI.
Absolutely.
And when they reach out to TMHAI, they'll find Toli Wekka.
Absolutely.
So Thank you so much.
There's a lot of ground to cover. Thank you so much too for having me. It's awesome.